Yeah, how you doing, everybody? I'm just going to do a quick video here. I've known it for years, but maybe a lot of people don't. This happens to be a John Deere of mine. I got it. It's a LA 115, don't matter. Any air-cooled motor, this happens to be a 19-horse single. Any air-cooled motor obviously needs air to cool it through these cooling fins, especially past overhead valves, past the valve guides. That's one of the big major problems with these. A lot of people, what happens is mice get inside of these and they create mice nests and they plug up all these cooling fins. Well, anyhow, this happens to be the one I got. I actually took it off. I try to take them off once a week to check. The problem with these John Deeres, and a lot of them, even the old Briggs motors, or the top shroud is a real pain in the ass to get off. The best thing you can do when you start these things up every week when you mow, put your hand underneath the motor, the bottom of the head, on the side. If you feel a lot of air blowing down, you might not have a problem. But if you get mice nests or whatever inside of here, you don't have the cooling effect, and the motors aren't going to last very long. Even with a brand new, I've seen people that have mowers that are only a year old, 2 years old, and they burn up. And it's not because they ran out of oil; it's because they overheated. But anyhow, on this John Deere, the shroud is a pain in the ass to come off. They have 4 shoulder, 6mm shoulder bolts, 6mm thread, but they do have shoulder bolts on the front and rear that you have to actually physically remove to get the shroud off. What I did was I took a webbing wheel and cut notches in the front and rear. They have a molded, captured for the flat washer it's part of the shoulder screw, so if you notch those, it makes it easy to come on and off. And anyhow, what happens with this one, the first time I took it off, the cooling shroud, for whatever reason, has a little plastic molded stud that sticks up out of the top. It sticks out like, it sticks out like 5/8 of an inch. And when I reinstalled this shroud after I cleaned all the mice stuff out, when I first started, I heard a little clicking, and what happened was that little stud happens to interfere with the cooling fins that are on the flywheel. These used to be cast iron or aluminum molded onto the flywheel. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper now to do it the other way. But anyhow, only took a couple revolutions, and it actually broke 5 or 6 of the cooling fins off the top of this fan. So anyhow, all you gotta do is, if you were to do what I'm talking about, grind that off, take a webbing wheel or a file, or just take that off. I actually took the tops of the other squishing clips to hold the green John Deere cushion on the top. I probably didn't have to because they're on a bigger diameter than the flywheel. But anyhow, my main thing is I'm trying to tell everybody out there is that you really have to pay attention if you especially live out. It doesn't matter where you live. You need to check to make sure when you start these things that you have air blowing around the bottom of the motor. And if you don't take the shroud off and check it, you're looking, even with a brand new mower, it doesn't matter, you paid $1,200, $1,500 for a mower, without air going through these fins, when the flywheel is rotating, the motor's going to overheat and you're going to have big problems. Anyhow, so I just want to let you know what I did to make it easier to get this John Deere cover off. Kohler has a real easy cover that comes off. There's like 4 6mm screws that come off, but you really need to pay attention to this stuff. and if you don't, you're going to spend a lot of money for nothing. So